Right, so this is a talk about migration. So I decided to show you this Encyclopedia of Chinese Overseas because it talks about the Chinese diaspora, and diaspora have lots of histories and traditions that they take with them and they migrate, and that helps to shape their cultures abroad as well. My dad migrated from Hong Kong to Britain in the 1950s, and he set up the first Chinese restaurant ever in the Cardiff. And so I grew up in as well. I was actually born in Cardiff. And this is what I was basically exposed to. So it's the Charlie's Angels from the 1970s, and you also got the Wonder Woman. These are the influences that sort of made me think about, oh, what great role models, but nothing in terms of people that look like me. Around that time, you got this article, Occident by Accident, and that's from the Daily Mail, and that sort of sums up the British interest in martial arts. So I got quite interested in it, but obviously couldn't read the Daily Mail at that time. I was only a teenager, but I could read The Avengers, The Master of Kung Fu. This was dated in 1977, and it's quite interesting that it was lots and lots of references to martial arts, but I didn't feel that I could get really into it. As a teenager, I was really quite frustrated, but I soon did, because these are my books and these are the sorts of martial arts that I sort of managed to delve into eventually. I got stuck in, so as you can see, I did taekwondo, I did karate, and there was no stopping me. I even tried Wing Chun Kung Fu as well. I decided when I started to think about, sort of doing a PhD, I thought, it's no brainer. It's got to be about martial arts. So I spent many a time at the History of Advertising Trust looking at a whole range of adverts. As you can see, there's VHS, stuff like that I had to look into as part of my PhD, and it's about advertising. And I'd like to introduce you to the BMK girl, Edwina Carroll, who fronted one of the earliest adverts for a carpet manufacturer, in a Scottish carpet manufacturer. This is one of the second ones that I came across, Luxaflex, 1966, one of the early ones about the Venetian blinds. You can see an image of a karate black belt there trying to tackle the Venetian blinds. Apparently very, very durable and strong. So you couldn't break it down. Then I started to look into, now hopefully people have heard of High Karate. That was 1973. I looked at a range of influences from there. As you can see, this is an actual brand, and it's, High Karate. It's got the karate word in there. And it was quite interesting in terms of, the message about being careful in terms of how you use it. This one was really interesting. This particular advert actually features Anoida Sensei, who is an actual black belt and a master champion in karate, who actually came into Britain to teach the Brits on how to do Shotokan karate. And hopefully some of you remember these. In 1977, you got Levi's Kung Fu, which was paying homage to Bruce Lee. It's got lots of stereotypes in there, which is quite interesting. You've got the Chinese laundry, you've got the sort of baddies, the villains, the Fu Manchu characters. And then also around that time, you also had the Volkswagen Polo self-defense ad, which is really quite interesting. Quite a lot of diverse characters depicted in that. Totally, there's no sounds at all. And it was quite, sort of tangible in terms of, allowing us to see that, even a pregnant woman is allowed to do martial arts. I couldn't talk about martial arts and advertising without mentioning Terence Donovan, who was one of the most well-known photographers, celebrity photographer in the 1970s. He not only did judo, but he also wrote a book about it as well, and he was totally passionate about it. All this leads me up to Bruce Lee. I got to mention Bruce Lee because he is the real McCoy in terms of martial arts representation, and his influence on film, TV, and also in advertising was now starting to seep into the sort of very glamorous image. And you can see the Garden Royal Exchange here. It's a poster advert for that. Following on from Bruce Lee, I thought, got to go back to where my dad came from. So in later years, I thought, well, I've got to go back to Hong Kong. So this is a junk from a flea market, a print from a flea market I got. And it's associated with Bruce Lee. It's got that sort of, I don't know if you've seen this one, but if you go to the trendy graffiti area in the old town centre in Hong Kong, you would see this fantastic graffiti of Bruce Lee. This was really, really fascinating. There are a lot of references to Bruce Lee in Hong Kong itself. And a fantastic Bruce Lee museum that I went to as well, which had a fantastic insight in terms of his scripts for his movies, for example. He wrote them more in English. So he's basically a guy who sort of identifies with being quite Western. He thinks in a Western way, but he had a bit of a Chinese accent, so he wasn't able to front a lot of the Hollywood films. Had to go back to Hong Kong for that. So this leads me down to the sort of Wing Chun route. So it's me and my pixelated face for my son there to protect him, bless him. So it's me trying out the Sam Lau's training in the back streets of Hong Kong somewhere. And I just want to basically highlight that with martial arts and stuff, although it's quite a lot of references and quite a lot of it's quite macho in a way, it doesn't mean that women can't do it as well. And women of a certain age, we should go for it, fight like a girl we want to. And it's, very important. There's, for those of you who think, can she actually do it? This is just an image of me in Conway somewhere, showing you that, no matter what you do, you can achieve your dreams. And it's sort of going back to me sort of being quite a young lass, trying to learn about martial arts. I had to wait till my 30s before I got really into it. So, hopefully I've inspired you somehow to follow your dreams.